being a leader is like hiking in the woods, and it is a totally different kind of hike if you are exploring and you are making the trail as you're going than if you're following a super well-marked trail.
Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started here, could you just quickly tell us who you are and who you work for, please?
Yeah, my name is Melissa DePuydt. I am a senior engineering director at Upstatement, which is a digital product studio with an editorial mindset. We build digital product experiences that focus especially around community building, and we also do a lot of work with editorial partners. And so we are an agency with kind of a product development specialty.
Awesome. And Melissa, you are going to be speaking at Lead Dev West Coast in October later on this year. Can you just give us a little tease, a little hint of what you're going to be speaking about up on stage there?
Yeah. So I will be speaking about this idea that I think is very common in engineering management. We come up as software engineers, as I see, we push really, really hard, work to get into these more accomplished roles and into leadership. And then we're told, I think that's very common. We're told, that management is a fundamentally different role than being an IC. But we don't have a lot of nuance in what we mean when we talk about being like an engineering leader. So I'll be talking about the idea that being an engineering leader doesn't mean that you need to totally step away from code. It doesn't mean that you have to self-sacrifice and be always putting the needs of your team first. And it doesn't mean that, like, if you are in this role, that you're going to spend the next 30 years just like constantly burned out and fighting fires. I have this idea that good engineering leaders need to be able to cultivate and switch between these two operating modes. And so I'll be sharing my personal framework for assessing projects and opportunities, and that's called scrappy versus scale. And so these are just the modes that for me, I found let me manage myself most effectively and show up consistently for my team. And I wanted to share that with the world.
That's awesome. I'm really excited about that. This has always been a popular topic with the lead dev community, obviously figuring out how you
Excellent.
keep your hands in that world while also moving
Yeah.
into this new world. It's a really big thing. I guess my next question is like, what's your secret? Like, how have you found a way to balance those two things?
I mean, I think it's totally ongoing. But the way I think about it is like kind of being a leader is like hiking in the woods, and it is a totally different kind of hike if you are exploring and you are making the trail as you're going than if you're following a super well-marked trail. And so scrappy work is like that first hike where you're forging the path as you're traversing it and, like slashing through the brush and like, getting stuff out of the way. And your focus is on getting to your destination and getting there safely and on time. Whereas I think there's this push in management towards scale work, which is, looking back at the trail you've forged and saying, all right, what do I need to do to make it easier for other people to do this work or to do similar work? And so I think that the balance between scrappy work and scale work is totally individual, what is fulfilling to each person. But we end up thinking that managers should only be doing scale work. And I think that's a pretty limiting view of the role. And so for me, I think the secret is being able and willing to do both kinds of work and being able to kind of pause before an opportunity or project starts and ask myself, like, how do I need to show up for myself? And how do I need to show up to support my team in this opportunity? That has been, for me, in the last year of my career, the most kind of like successful way I found is like balancing both the scrappy things that are really fun and like our big like adrenaline rush, like trying to launch on deadline, with the things that are also very fulfilling, but are fundamentally kind of a different kind of work of growing others, documenting, establishing repeatable processes.
Yeah, and I find like with that first time you take that hike, it can take a lot longer when you're foraging the path, when you don't know the way. And then
Yes.
if you go back and you do it again, it feels like it takes about half the time. So I feel like once you've got through that
Yeah.
initial pain, you've learned a lot. And I don't know if that's an overstretching of your metaphor or if that fits.
No, I think the metaphor, the beauty of the metaphor is that it's really flexible and it can be stretched because that first hike is it's so unique to everyone. Like you're not focused on like, is this the best way? Is this the most efficient way? Will someone else be able to do this after me? And if that's not the goal, then that's okay to take that work on if no one else on your team can do it and you're in the manager role, again, just playing that role of being the scrappy person. It's different just to look back and say, all right, now I've hiked this mountain. I need to make a way for 10 other people to hike the mountain. And maybe those are 10 other people who don't want to be cutting through brush. They want like something that's more repeatable and that shows them the path. And I think that that's good, and we should be showing the path to people for making their way into like higher leadership roles within an organization. Because so often, at least in my experience, I'm told like leaders just have to like make their own path. There isn't a roadmap for leadership. But if like if there were, then so many other people could do it. And like I don't want to be in a position where only I can be doing these things because that's not fulfilling to me.
Yeah, and as a new parent, people always say to me, "Oh, there's a roadmap for this. You can just read all the books." No, there is no roadmap.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some advice, and there's some good advice and bad advice, but yeah, you do have to forge your own path. Melissa, let's fast forward. You're stepping down from the stage. You're feeling
Yeah.
super relieved. What do you hope that the audience takes away from your talk in a few months?
Yeah, my hope is that the next time that my audience members are faced with a new project or opportunity, that they feel empowered to, instead of just responding and jumping in right away, that they feel empowered to take a moment and assess, how do I need to show up for my team in this situation? What is like, what does success look like for me in this project, in this opportunity? And maybe more importantly, like, what do I need to do in order to be fulfilled with my role in this project or opportunity? And then not just like the permission to do it, obviously. My hope is that it gives people the mental model for how to assess different scenarios and tailor their actions and how they lead kind of accordingly, and that they feel, that this is something that they can take forward with them to guide them, hopefully throughout their careers, that leads to less burnout and more kind of fulfilling opportunities for people.
My last question for you is just why did you choose to share this story with the lead dev audience in particular?
Yeah, I've been following Lead Dev for years, and I was finally able to attend the Lead Dev West Coast conference last year. And it was just such an amazing experience that I was like, I want to do that. And I learned to code in a boot camp, and I for a long time didn't have leaders or managers who were like me. I've still never reported to a woman, and I think I haven't reported to anyone who didn't have a degree in computer science. So it's really important to me that it's like that I'm able to share with audiences that, like, if you came up through a boot camp, you can be an engineering leader, first of all. But then I think more importantly, it's just a message that I haven't heard before, that it's okay as a manager to prioritize yourself and what you need to be fulfilled. Because if you are constantly burned out and have nothing to offer to everyone, then you're not actually being a good leader. So this talk for me is scrappy work. It's something I haven't done. It's putting my own ideas out there on a deadline, and I hope showing people what's possible. And my hope then also is that over time it becomes scale work as well, that I've spoken at multiple conferences and am able to share the resources that helped me do this, and empower other people as well.
Amazing. Well, yeah, they definitely don't teach you engineering
Yeah.
management skills in university, in college anyway. So
Yep.
why should that be a problem?
Exactly.
Great. All right. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. I am so excited to watch this talk in full at Lead Dev West Coast later this year,
Thank
and I
you.
will see you there.